Welcome to the Life of Styn, where our goal is to make your life yours again. Today we're going to be talking about how to stop suffering. One important thing to remember is pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. But what does that mean? It's crucial to make the distinction. For most, we spend our lives avoiding pain and chasing comfort, and it seems that pain is suffering. But truth be told, it's not. We just usually associate pain with suffering, as well as undesirable outcomes as suffering. But it's not necessarily the case. Now, athletes use pain to tell themselves what they need to get stronger, and that the pain or burn is good, and it means growth, strength, and development. But most importantly, what's the common factor here? It's already obvious that pain isn't suffering because some people actually seek the pain and accept the pain, and they wouldn't necessarily say that they're suffering. That's because suffering is nothing other than resistance or denial of the present moment situation. When we experience something we don't want to experience, we suffer. When we can't accept what is happening or we resist what is happening, we suffer. Now let me give you an equation of how the changing process of the mind and psyche towards what one might call purification, meaning eternal joy and peace. Purification, or eternal joy and peace, is equal to pain plus mindfulness. Meaning, when we take a step back and use experience to see what is actually happening, we purify ourselves from suffering. Suffering is pain plus resistance, meaning when we resist the present moment, we suffer. Our minds usually make things out to be way worse than they actually are. And because of that, we suffer all the way up until we are actually in the moment of the thing we resisted and realize that it wasn't as bad as we thought. We end up being responsible for our own suffering at that point. But we can't blame ourselves for that. But we also have to hold ourselves accountable for right now. We didn't choose how we grew up and the culture and the society we grew up in. We didn't choose a lot for our lives. And what we did or didn't learn or believe wasn't really up to us either. But right now, right here, we usually do get to choose what we do, how we act, what we allow ourselves to engage in, the environment we put ourselves in, the people we surround ourselves with. And if you don't get to choose, you may find yourself suffering. Because it feels like you're being forced to do things you don't want to do. But the resistance is what's creating suffering. Remember, control what you can, but accept what you can't. You will never be 100% in control of your life, and if that's what you dictate your happiness and your ability to be happy and secure, then you're almost never going to be happy. But that doesn't mean you have to suffer when you don't have control. Acceptance, as well, also isn't complacency. For example, acceptance that your house is on fire acceptance is that your house is on fire. And complacency is not getting out of the house. Accept the situation for what it is, but control what you can by getting out of the house. It's a bit of an extreme example, but hopefully the extreme examples show you some of the more subtleties that occur in our lives that we don't really acknowledge. When we improve our awareness, sometimes we find the smaller things we never noticed that are exactly like the house on fire example, except on a smaller scale. We don't get to choose the things that happen to us. We get to make our decisions, face the consequences, whether good or bad. And on top of that, many of the things that happen to us seem completely random. And if we only allow ourselves to be happy or at peace when things happen the way we want, you're going to suffer 99.9999% of the time. Everything happens for a reason. Not necessarily a spiritual reason and not a scientific reason, but the unity of both. There's no such thing as a coincidence or chance. For example, a coin has a 50-50 chance to land on one side of the other. But actually, there's an infinite number of intelligent processes occurring that led up to the outcome of the coin flip that our limited minds can't perceive. Like how you flip the coin, the air pressure, the distance and speed of the flips. If we had a supercomputer, it would be able to determine that and tell you the outcome of the coin. It would never actually be a 50-50 chance. We would always know what the outcome would be. And that's why we are always able to predict the weather. But we also don't see all the variables, which is also why the forecast is wrong a lot of the times. When you see life like that, you can trust that the universe is working on a far more intelligent level than we could possibly comprehend. Just because we can't understand that number, or just because we can understand that numbers are infinite, doesn't mean we can hold all the numbers in the universe in our mind at once. In that way, we can have faith and know that things in the universe happen for a reason. And you can take solace in that fact. So now when things happen and life is chaotic and nothing is happening the way you thought, you can either let your ego and your emotions control you, or you can accept the things you can't change and control what you can, which is your actions and thoughts and emotions. And even if you can't control your actions, thoughts, or emotions, or it seems like that, you can be aware of the process. You can fix almost every problem in your life through being aware alone, through awareness alone, because you can't control what you aren't aware of. And arguably, all you know is awareness, awareness of perspective, of everything. But when you project yourself into reality, you actually limit who you truly are. So I hope I've made it clear that when you stop resisting the bad things, quote unquote, don't you realize that all of the losses were necessary to have success? Okay, I love hockey. If that's not obvious from my apparel at time to time, when I'm wearing my hat or my jerseys. But in hockey, you learn from the losses. You learn where you need to bolster your defenses or how to increase your offense. And those lessons learned from the loss are what give you the wins. They give you the championship. So welcome the bad times, welcome the failures, and welcome the mistakes, because those are the very things that lead to getting that championship, to get the cup. Control what you can, which is what you train towards. You sucked. Your defense was trash. All right, get over it though. Train and what you didn't train at what you didn't succeed at, and turn your failure into success. Accept that those things already happened. They don't have to be suffering. It doesn't have to be irreversible trauma. You can either become wise or you can become wounded. It's your choice. Now I'm going to give you another example. There was an enlightened master. I don't remember the guy's name and I don't remember the story exactly, but the message is going to be the same. This enlightened master wanted to prove to others and himself that pain without resistance was equal to no suffering. Okay, he went to the dentist to get like a root canal or something without any anesthetics. And he did it with a smile on his face. Now, I get for most that's pretty extreme, but know that it is possible. And you could be like that. When life is making you fight for your life and World War III is going on, that you could be going through all of it with a smile. Okay, through not resisting and accepting what is the case. Suffering is optional. And what's the factor that makes it optional? Well, there's only one thing stepping in the way between reality and suffering, and that's you. In this way, you can see suffering is entirely created by the person, which is why someone can work 60 hours a week and be happy, and why someone else cannot work at all and be miserable. It has nothing to do with the circumstances and everything to do with the person and their perspective. Okay. As always, I could go on forever. I'm not perfect. I'm sure I missed something, but I think I got across all of the theory I wanted to get across. Hopefully I brought into your awareness why we suffer and that we can accept the crappy parts of our life and make the best of it right now and create successes through those failures. Now, thank you if you've made it this far, and have the day you were meant to have.